All right. So this is the second meeting of the West March Board of Directors at 7 o'clock on August 8th. We had a meeting last night, which was strictly devoted to the audits. Tonight is the regular business meeting. And if I can have a roll call, please, of the people that are in attendance in hopefully alphabetical order, if we remember who that is. I think that's going to be Andy, Christine, David, Jody, and Rose.
Andy is here, BOD alternate.
Christine Stender, Monarch.
David Zucker, Prime Minister.
Jody Van Tyne, BOD President.
Rose Brown, Secretary.
Beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Hopefully Christian will be able to join us in a little bit. Has everyone had a chance to review the July meeting minutes?
Yes.
Did anybody have any questions or concerns about them?
I, as usual, felt they were lovely.
So if there are no comments on anything that needs to be changed, may I have a motion to accept the July meeting minutes?
I move to accept the July meeting minutes.
I second the motion.
Anyone not in acceptance of that? Anyone vote nay? All right, so yeah.
I oddly don't vote nay.
Okay, so we'll get those posted, and then as far as past meeting minutes, I was going to include last night's meeting minutes for the audit meeting as part of the August meeting minutes that will be looked at and reviewed in September.
That is a great idea because I have definitely not finished them.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so the platform for the future BOD meetings is next on the agenda. I actually, before this meeting, found on the West March YouTube site where I can enable live streams. And I watched a YouTube video on how to do that, and it was way more than I could do for tonight's meeting. So I will work on that for September. I may ask a couple of you to help me do a trial run and get that set up. And if anybody has had any experience doing that, that would be awesome. So I don't really have any updates on that item.
Great. I move to table this until Jody can do that research and make it and figure it out.
I second.
Anyone, all in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? All right, so that's tabled. Officer insurance was going to be a report by Amanda, who's not able to be here tonight. So that would probably, unless David, you have any updates on that? Okay, that would probably need to be tabled until next month. Do I have a motion to table officer
Motion.
insurance?
Motion to table.
Second,
Second.
anyone opposed? Great, so we will table that until September. The next item, actually, those lights are pretty cool when you shine your camera up onto the ceiling and it moves around. It's anyway, sorry, squirrel.
They are our Christmas lights.
Jody, can I interrupt just a minute, briefly?
Huh?
I don't see the live stream up actually on Facebook. I see that it's marked on Zoom as live streaming. Does anybody else see it? Am I just not getting it for some silly reason?
I wasn't sure if I did because I did see one with 2 comments, but it looked like it was posted 34 minutes before.
Yeah, that's the one from last night. That's what I thought that was the current one too, but it's actually the audit meeting from last night.
Yeah, and I posted the YouTube link. Let me,
That's probably why I was seeing the YouTube link.
all right, let me fix that.
I've got you up
See,
on Facebook right now.
Okay,
You
probably
can-
just a problem on my end then.
you can see it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you, Christine.
Okay, cool.
All right, so looks like we're good. The next item on the agenda is the Wells Fargo banking issues, adding Kaya to the bank account and or the new prime minister. David, is that a report from you?
We got the paperwork filled out to add Kaya. It's been turned into Wells Fargo. They looked at it. We filled out the remaining parts that they never told me needed to be filled out. It should be good to go. I want to say a week ago. I forget when. Kaya tried to go online and wasn't able to view the accounts, and she was supposed to chat with the bank, go to the office, and get that fixed. I haven't touched bases with her since then. So hopefully she'll be able to make it later tonight and give a report.
Shall we put in a motion to table until Kaya gets here and then round back to that?
There was another half of it adding Justin. He's calling tomorrow to set up an appointment at Wells Fargo so I can get him added. We get a second person. We still need to boot Fix. He's still on as legacy. Keep an eye to make sure I'm not stealing money, because we need 2 people.
So it's right now, it's you and Fix because Kaya
Yeah.
is not officially added.
Yeah,
So it still is kind of in flux as far as getting Kaya on there so we can remove Fix and then
Yeah.
having Justin come on to replace you.
so I'm really hoping she reports later that she's got access, and then yeah, I guess when she comes back, joins us, we'll return to this and see what's next.
Okay, so why don't we not table it necessarily, but put it on hold and kind of move it down and we'll revisit it later in the meeting,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Mark that in red on my sheet so that I know that that is what the thing we're going to come back to is. Sorry, just talking to myself.
No, that's okay. Let me know when you're ready,
Okay, I have that down.
okay? And so this is actually maybe kind of like the most exciting thing. Number 6 is the website move for CA AmpGuard. Absolutely. You hear like bells and whistles and confetti and
Yeah.
fireworks.
So
David,
yeah, it's done. The lands list is up to date. The officers list is up to date, sometimes with really bad pictures.
Oh, we actually
The
own
links
our
to
own.
the rule book are up to date.
We actually own our own domain now.
We own the domain. Yeah, so West March owns the domain. The name, the hosting, it's all in West March's name. It's paid for by West March's. The auto pays through West March PayPal.
not Wells Fargo.
It's through PayPal. Yeah, if we want to dump Wells Fargo, we don't have to worry about billing, the automatic billing with the domain host. Yeah,
So
Sweet.
basically, it's
hopefully we
done.
can get people using CA AmpGuard more, because if we put information there, it's easier to find than on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
I think that might be also a part of the recruitment committee is sending people there for information. But for this item, I have waited, I think I've waited, what, 3 years for this moment?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Has it been that long?
a year, March of last year is when Brandy created the accounts with Namecheap.
But
So
Fix
I don't know
and
how long she was
Fenra,
researching before that.
Fix and Fenra were working on it before that.
Ah,
Yeah, it's been a
I didn't know
while.
that.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
done.
yeah. I am like, thank you so much. I think you need an award for that. Maybe like, a master rose or something, or, a belt or.
I guess I don't have enough roses for a masterhood yet.
You don't?
How do you-
No,
You need more roses.
I think you
You
need a
need, like-
bouquet.
I can pick some from the backyard when they're in bloom.
All right, so it sounds like this is really pretty much taken care of. And then, I mean, for this item, I think we can vote to close it, but then just for a discussion going forward, who is gonna manage it? How does it get
Um,
managed and monitored and,
So in the
Taken care
past,
of.
it's been Monarchy asking Fix to update it. And he's working 80-hour weeks for the past year. I guess going forward, it's going to be Monarchy picks some sucker to manage it. And it's just done ad hoc basis. It would be nice to get a Kapora amendment for an official IT team responsible for it.
I
Yeah,
would support that. I think it would be a great idea because I mean, one of the reasons it's not well utilized is because it's not well updated and stuff. And,
right.
you know, people have issues with it and it's always kind of just like, eh,
Yeah. So I think moving forward, it's going to be updated a little more frequently. And we should get something in place where there's a couple of people officially in charge of it who can be officially replaced. But
Are
that
there
would be a
gonna be
Kapora
this-
amendment.
are there gonna be similar issues to getting people added and replaced and changed as there are with the West March bank account?
No,
that'd
So
be more
change-
like
yeah.
admin. access,
Changing
right?
admin access is not gonna be as difficult.
so
Okay.
the passwords to the account are held by, well, currently the West March Prime Minister. Who should have access to that? So me and the Prime Minister and the monarch, who should make changes? So there's a couple of different areas. There's the Namecheap that manages the deep back end, the billing, security certificates, well, paying for the security certificates. Then there's the back end, that's the web management, and they can be different accounts and they can be different people. It could be set up that West March has the password for the deep back end and the master of the back end, and then create user accounts for the back end who actually manage the website, but don't have access to the billing stuff.
Hmm.
And the billing stuff is currently set up for auto renew, so future West Monarchy shouldn't need to do anything there.
So it sounds to me, as
So-
far as the BOD
Sure.
goes, the website move is done. And
Yeah.
it's gonna move on to the Monarch and the Monarchy as far as how it's gonna be managed and what you just said, that a lot of it went over my head because
Yeah,
that's not my strength.
It'll be up to the monarchy to decide how to do stuff, but hopefully they'll take Dave's advice and make a team in charge of it. Cause I know that's like how a lot of other stuff is run. There's a group of people, cause if you just have one person, if they get busy, you're kind of screwed.
yeah.
So as far as this item goes, is there anything else that we need to do tonight other than congratulate David for finally getting it done or close it out?
I think our only job is to close it out. Motion to close.
Second,
Second,
anyone opposed? I'm just gonna give a huzzah. All right, so that one we can take off of our list. Thank you again, David.
yeah.
I like those, cause then I don't have to keep on rolling them over.
Yeah, take one off. So Dark Shore breakdown of financials. David, you said you posted on Facebook. Do you have a summary?
We made less than $5 profit. where this was mentioned earlier, like a couple meetings back, I think. The initial check for the reservation to the park, there was an issue, they're returning it. So the check went from Paul to the park. The check was returned from the park to PayPal, it sounds like. The park has confirmed they returned it. We're waiting for PayPal to stop fucking around so that we can get the money back to West March's accounts. So that's the only thing really pending. Yeah. We ended up just to close things with the park department and making everything good with them, cutting them a second check. Since they did refund that first one. So everything's clear with the parks department. We're just waiting for the PayPal refund.
So do we need to continue this for next month until everything's completely closed out, or what's your
I
suggestion?
think you can just close it. I think at this point, it's just Prime Minister and working with Paul to finalize that part.
Sweet. Motion
I
to
mean-
close.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, I don't think there's been this much oversight by the BOD. It's probably good to have it, but my
Well, it
experience
was
has
a
been,
little weird one.
Hmm?
It was a little of a weird one.
yeah. So,
Does the Queen have an opinion on this?
No, sorry, I was reading something else.
No, that's okay. It just, we're like talking about kind of shifting it over to the monarchy and the BOD being done with it. I wanted to make sure that you had a voice.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
and I
motion to
have already
close.
updated Justin on this, so incoming Prime Minister knows to keep an eye out.
Okay, great. So it sounds to me like this item can be closed out. Do I have a motion to that effect?
Yep. Twice.
Second,
Second,
anyone opposed? Hey, Rose, tonight's your night. You get to close 2 out.
Yay.
So the next item is the petition for the freehold of Valant to join West March. Isn't that an all thing item? Oh, no, that's
So
done.
last time you had wanted to add it because it had not been put onto an all thing yet. So you had wanted to keep it on there so that we could make sure it got onto an all thing.
Okay. And it
So I'd
is,
say we could probably close this item as
it
well.
is, yeah. Tonight's your night. So, does anyone have any discussion on this item?
Do we know
Well-
if it passed or not? Sorry.
Christine?
Well, once it gets voted on, then it will need to be dealt with by the BOD. So I'd say table it rather than close it.
Because then we have to do the contract.
Right.
So do I have a motion to table? It sounds like the petition is in the all thing, and then if it's approved, we revisit it and go through the contract process.
Sure. Motion to table pending all thing results.
Yep, second,
I second it.
anyone opposed? Great. The next item is the results of research on what is legally required to be submitted to the state and federal under our NPO 501c status. Who was doing the research on that?
You had said you would.
Well, I have definitely dropped the ball on that one,
Okay.
so I will
mean,
circle.
I can tell you what I do submit to the state and feds, which is
Okay.
very little. Every other year, we're required to file an, what is it?
Yeah.
SI 100, which lists our name, our mailing address, our chief executive officer, which is the king or queen, and their address, which is usually the mailing address, the PO box, the secretary, and the chief secretary of the board of directors, and the chief financial officer. So that's required every other year. It's a good idea to do it more often if there's a major change in officers, which with our 6-month terms happens a lot. Second one, the federal taxes.
99.
199N. Our name, our mailing address, check a box that says we took in less than $50,000. Doopy doopy doop. Our website and our mailing address and the name of the principal officer, which is the CEO, which is the king or prime minister. 1 second. Laundry got kind of loud. And that's it to the feds. And then the state is more information. The state requires us to, wants to know how much money we took in, and we put in how much West March brings in, not the sublands, because the sublands have their own accounts.
Can you explain that? That didn't make sense to me. How much we
So-
took in and then,
Oh, so that's West March. So how much we receive in tithes, how much we receive in donations, how much we make from events. The individual lands cash boxes does not feed into that.
That actually makes sense to me, seeing as we also don't get use of the business thing, so we're not, our funds are separate.
Right. We don't have, if West March wants to spend $20,000, we can't just grab money from the sublands. It's their own money. So we don't report that money.
so it really just is involving the West March Kingdom accounts. Does it involve the event?
Yes.
West March event account, so all of that. So remind me, I can go back and look at the July minutes, but what were we looking for result on what's legally required? Didn't you just list what's legally required?
Yeah, that's all that's filed.
So
Okay.
going back to last month,
I was asking for it because I was hoping to simplify the audit process, and I wanted to make sure we didn't leave anything out that was necessary.
But the audits look at the individual land coffers, which David just said are not considered
Right.
for the state and federal. The state basically was kind of the big one.
Yeah, the audits are internal reviews of our sublands, but it doesn't go to the outside world. Every time we try to simplify, there's always one person or another says, we can't cut this, it's important, we can't cut that, and we keep it all.
So really, as far as income with like demos and fundraising and all of that, that's all done on the land level, except for fundraising for the kingdom level events. And there's limits, what you say, 50,000.
Yeah,
Is there any documentation that we've ever been audited or asked for to make
Nope.
sure that, okay. So I guess my question is, do we need to do any more research, Christine, to answer your question and get you the information that you wanted?
No, I think that's good enough.
Uh-oh, Rose. I think there
Oh.
might be a third one.
I
Nice.
don't know.
Is
Wait,
it Christmas in August?
Justin comes in next month, and what's going to be on the agenda? He's going to have too easy of a time. No, we got to leave it.
Wait, you mean we might get through a meeting in less than an hour?
And
No.
next time you'll get through in 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Motion to close.
Second,
second, anyone opposed? Awesome. All right. So the Texas Principality Golden City. So I put in, let me find it. I put in the thread. I did reach out to Noah Smith
Mhm.
and asked him if they still wanted to be, so as West March BOD president, I'm reaching out to you to follow up on the previous reach out to see if they really were serious in being a land of West March, because they are in Austin. And his reply was 6 years ago, they were told to get a contract with the AIBOD, get permission from Celestial Kingdoms, get permission from the West March BOD, and they did those things. So my question to him was if they still were interested in being a land in West March, and he is going to go to the founders. So here's his reply. Most of the guys who wanted the being a West March land have retired. And so he's going to check in with the founders and see if they were still interested in being a member of West March. So that's the last that I've heard. At the time, there were several prominent players who were more active in West March Amp-Guard than Celestial Kingdoms. So that's the update that I have, and that was today.
Okay. So it sounds like they may be veering towards not even wanting to be part of West March.
Right. And if they don't want to be a part of West March, we can just kind of, I mean, they're not even a contracted land. But
Yeah. So if that ends up being the thing, the step we would need to take is informing Amp-Guard International or whoever controls the org to move them, right? That's the main thing that,
we'd probably want to verify their contract with AI. We want to verify that, yes, they do want to be a part of West March, and then we would need to put it up for an all thing.
well, I'm saying if they come back and say, no, they don't want to be part of West March, in that case, the only thing that we would need to do is get them switched off of being West March on the org. Tell the people who run the org to, you know, they're not part of West March anymore. Talk to them about where they want to be or whatever, but they're not part of us anymore.
and
Sounds
I'm
like
just
they're-
gonna put this out for the next meeting. If they do leave West March and you need to contact the org admins, the best way is email to contracts@ampguard.com.
Okay, so the same as if they're trying to start a new land.
Yeah, or that's who I emailed to get somebody added to West March on the org.
Good to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
took a few tries to get that.
All right. So it doesn't sound like we have closure on this item. Do I have a motion to table if there's no more discussion?
Motion to table, until we both hear back from the all thing and them.
I don't know that there's an all thing necessarily for them. It's just hearing back from them if they want to even be a part of West March at this point.
Well, they were on the August all thing to reduce to a shire.
Oh,
so-
reduce them to a shire?
Yeah. So
That's
if,
also going to be interesting because Golden City is a principality. It's the umbrella, and the only park is Dagobah. So I don't know if we can really. Now that I should have mentioned this before, but it didn't pop to mind. Like we can't really demote Golden City because Golden City isn't really. Golden City's like West March. How do you demote West March to a shire? There is no West March.
Hmm.
There's the individual parks, and there used to be several individual parks of the Golden City, and now it's just one. So,
Well, I
um,
mean, I think the bigger issue is how do we demote somebody we don't have a contract with?
yeah.
Which we
So
can.
we, I think the easiest is to say, oh yeah, we're not really part of West March anymore. They all left. Let's hope for the easy solution.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't have to hope. It's not my problem.
Okay, so we have the all thing. But then we also have, if they even want to pursue being a part of West March.
Yeah, which we still need to hear back from, basically.
Which is actually really, well, it's not more important than the all thing, but so what's the solution for the all thing then if you can't demote a kingdom to a shire, right?
Yeah.
Well, I would argue that you can demote a principality, just you would be demoting each individual land within the principality, as a principality has to be made up of at least 2 lands, I think, according to our Corpora, at least a duchy and a sponsored land underneath the duchy. I believe that's the way our Corpora reads. So if we did demote them, I think we would have to review every land that comes under the principality for land status, which would be difficult because we don't have any audits from them. We never established the individual land statuses. Like, are any of the individual lands even listed under West March or just the principality?
I think just the principality, right? It sounds almost like we put the cart before the horse.
And there's only the one land of Golden City anyway, Dagobah.
Yeah.
But if
Mm.
Dagobah doesn't have a contract with West March, then they're not a member of West March, even if Golden City is.
Which creates the difficult question of how can you be a member of the principality while not being a member of the individual land that makes up the principality?
And
Yeah,
meanwhile,
you can't.
we don't have a contract with the Golden City either.
Yeah.
I
We
remember
did vote them
when
in.
I first saw this years ago,
Yeah.
someone said it was added more of a joke than anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
So now it sounds like it was intended to be more serious, but never followed through.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
The starting process that he went under, I believe, is usually the starting process for like a land forming and wanting to join one kingdom or the other anyway. But then you're supposed to petition the kingdom afterwards. Like, it's not just you get permission from the surrounding kingdoms and then you join whether the kingdom wants you or not. You know, you still have to like go on alt thing and stuff.
Well,
I
they
believe they did go through the all thing process and get voted in sometime in 2016.
Do we have any
So-
records of that?
When I was trying to figure out where they were, I went back and looked at the all things. And I think, yes, there is something there. I just don't remember the details in the old all things minutes. So I think what we need to do is, if we failed to get them the contract, it's kind of on us to, if they want to stay as a shire, they can. And then we need to get a contract with Golden City or Dagobah if they want to go under that name and move forward as a shire.
So can you say that again? If we fail to get their contract, then
I feel like it's kind of on us to offer them the option to fix it. Not just say, oh, well, they don't have a contract, so it's not our problem.
so what you're saying is offer them a contract as a shire.
Yes,
Well, I mean, they could never have been a principality without 3 years of having a contract with us.
Well, again, that's the monarchy at the time screw up.
Not submitting an audit is an auto fail, so if they were our land, they would be up for demotion anyway.
Sure. Which is why I
Right.
put them on right away.
Yeah.
So let's see what the all thing says. And let's see what NOAA comes back as far as if they even still want to be a land of West March. If they want to be a land of West March, then we could offer them a contract as a shire.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you found a hamburger. Okay, go eat it. You're so happy about it, but you don't want it? Okay.
Sorry, I'm taking notes. So it sounds like we're going to wait to see what the all thing results are. We're going to wait to see if they even want to still be a part of West March. If they do, then we would pursue a contract with them as a shire. So if there's not any more discussion, may I have a motion to, sounds like maybe table this until next time.
Motion to table until we hear back from both the All Thing and Noah Smith.
I second.
Anyone opposed? All right, so that one is tabled until next month. Does anyone have any other old business?
No old business. I am going to inform you guys that I've thought of and am adding on to new business, Crimson Wood, which I completely forgot to do
Okay.
on me.
So we'll
So
put
I'm
that,
gonna add that as a fourth item in new business.
perfect. So the first item is the Thor's Refuge banking issues. I almost feel like we need to have Kristen here because that was one of the lands that she was going to reach out to for the audits.
Last term.
Well, last term, but for this current audit period, that was one of the, it
Okay,
wasn't,
that was
actually,
one
it
of
wasn't
her
part of the
ones.
audit, so I reached out to TR for the audits. She was doing an investigation into TR's financials, I
Yeah.
believe.
I don't know what the results of that was, but I know we closed it last time, so I think she had reached out to them, but it would be good to have her input to know what she found last time with what was reported this time looks like together.
I'd like to motion to table this until Christian can be here.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Hey. The next item is look into requiring lands to use the audit forms. So I think that came up last night is that there were a couple lands who didn't use the audit form and there was some information that was a little ambiguous or missing or difficult to interpret. It's not in the corpora that they have to use the audit forms. I think the audit
Yeah,
forms
the
were
audit
created
form.
to make it easier for an easier outline, but they're not required.
I feel like requiring them would not necessarily be a good move because it means if we did and we had the same kind of thing where something on the all thing changed something, then it would be an issue that we didn't get the forms changed in time. Most of the lands do use them anyway. So, and they're a good outline, but it creates issues if something changes and the form doesn't get changed in time, but it's an official document that we're requiring to be submitted.
I think if we did a Kapora item and basically just said we have to use, everyone has to use whatever form the BOD puts out X number of months before, whatever, 6 months before. And that way the BOD can change it each time or keep it the same or do whatever they need to do, and it would be uniform that way.
Well, it shouldn't be the BOD that is causing changes to it. It should be the Kapora, because the issue is
No,
stuff being required that isn't required anymore.
Okay.
Right, so I'm
Kapora
saying if we give the BOD the authority to say, these are the requirements for this BOD, that use this form, and then they can change the form as needed, but the BOD has the authority by Kapora to make those changes as needed.
put in a something about if there's a Kapora change and the form doesn't reflect the Kapora change, you're still required to follow the Kapora, even if the form is a little out of date. Lands will not be dinged if the form does not match the Kapora. And that way, if there's a Kapora change put through in May, and no one can get the form up by June, there's your get out of jail.
Mm. Yeah,
But that's a Kapora committee issue.
Yeah,
it is.
So do you think then this would be not a BOD item, but something that we would pass along to the Corpora committee?
Well, I mean, it would
Yeah.
have to be in the corpora, so it would not be something that the BOD could do.
Yeah, it's not in the contract, so we can't really, there's nothing for us to do. We don't change the contract.
well, the BOD can make recommendations for the Queen to pass on.
No, well, I mean,
so,
anyone can.
yeah.
Like, if the
Oh,
question is specifically, is this, our purview? No. Can we ask for it? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes sense for the BOD to say this is what's going to make our life much easier.
Hmm.
So what would make our lives easier?
Yeah.
is-
That,
Who is Emran Salek?
Hi, I'm new to the AMP Guard group in California. Just noticed that the board of directors was meeting, and I just wanted to observe.
All right.
Okay,
well, you're welcome
Um,
to observe. With these meetings though, not really supposed to talk, so make sure to have yourself on mute.
if you have questions, there's a link at the bottom that you can raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay,
based on the thumbs up, I think Emran knows about that area.
just checking. Okay,
Yeah, just
All right.
because we can't always say who's talking, so if you don't indicate somewhere, we won't know who's talking.
okay, cool. All right,
And Kaya
so,
made it.
yep. So we are going to look at, sounds to me like looking into requiring lands to use the audit forms. What did you want to do with that?
I mean, we can ask the Queen to consider it. there isn't really anything for us to look into, though. We can make a recommendation.
So do I have a motion? What to do with this?
I move that Board of Directors request the Queen to look into a Kapora amendment to require using the form as we just discussed, with the get out of jail free, as we discussed, to put to all thing if she so desires.
Second? Any further discussion?
1 sec. I have to type. That was a lot.
I mean, as far as discussion, honestly, I'm not in favor of it, but that it's fine, just it. I don't know how to express my feelings of why I'm not in favor of it, which is why I was being quiet before, but I don't feel like it's a good move.
Why?
Mostly just like, I feel as long as they provide all the information required, that's really all we can ask for. I mean, I guess if we make it so the Kapora, or if the Kapora says that those forms are required, then that is what was required, and so that changes, and there's nothing more to do. But I feel it's kind of draconian.
I'm going to second Azuz's motion after having listened to this for a little bit. I actually view it in favor of the BOD because it gives us a very easy and conscript way for us to verify and check for information all in one place. So I'm going to second the motion.
Rose, can you repeat what Azus said, please?
1 sec. Okay. Zoom. Okay. Trying to remember what he was saying while people were talking. I was going to read it back and ask him if he was okay with it. Azus makes a motion to have the Queen look into requiring the forms be used with the get out of jail free if any amendments are done. Let's see. How did you phrase that exactly? I remember the get out of jail free.
If any Kapora amendments are passed before the form is updated.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, Azus makes a motion to have the Queen look into requiring the forms be used with the get out of jail free if any Kapora amendments are passed before the form is updated.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Anyone opposed?
As previously stated, I'm opposed.
I'm opposed.
All right,
So
so
I
let's do
believe
this. So we're gonna go ahead and go through and just have a vote just so that it's clear.
Okay.
Okay, Andy?
Opposed.
Chris, Christine,
I vote you recommend something to me.
Christian, Kaya,
Aye.
David.
Aye.
I will vote aye. And Rose?
opposed.
So what's did I get everybody? 1, 3, 5, 6?
4-2 in favor.
So motion passes 4-2.
Okay, so then we will close this item.
Motion to close this item.
Seconded.
Second,
Second.
okay, anyone opposed? Okay, that one's closed. Item 3, is there anything the BOD could do to make having bank accounts easier for parks? How many parks have bank accounts?
I
Sure.
believe there were 2. Well, no, one had a bank account, but it's somewhere out there, but it's technically not being used.
It's technically though still under a account within Wave Haven.
Yeah. So it kind of exists and kind of doesn't.
Do parks need to have bank accounts?
Nope,
No.
not until their principality.
It's
So-
awfully convenient for dues for PayPal,
Yeah,
but no, you don't need it.
so is this something that as the BOD, we would want to promote it?
I mean, it does most of the time help park funds from going missing, as someone can't physically pick up the cash box and walk off with it when no one's looking.
But I mean, we've all seen how many troubles, even with Westmarch having a legal entity, has been having troubles getting people switched on and off of the bank account. The individual lands would have similar problems.
And I can tell you, Wells Fargo, to me, Wyvern Spur is sometimes really bad at keeping up with getting people to the bank for the proper switchover.
That's exactly when SG had
Yeah.
our bank account. That's why we had decided we would just leave it with one holder. They would be our bank
Treasurer.
account holders, treasurers, and then,
Right.
we stopped having a BOD, so it wasn't an actual position anymore, but we still kept the same practice. And then that was problematic with audits, and so we closed our bank account. And now it's all in the cash box.
Yeah. Wyvern Spur's account is Wyvern Spur has an EIN, so it is a Wyvern Spur account. And I seem to have ended up being the perpetual person, and Llewell's on it. He's the current prime minister. And I think we've got Dave on it, who moved across the country. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a problem keeping up with adding and removing people. The ability to hook PayPal up to the land's bank account is convenient. I know there's a lot of individual PayPals. A lot of lands, they're paying tithes via the prime minister's personal PayPal, and they're reimbursing them cash from the box.
Yeah.
Which is not the best business practice, but it's awfully convenient.
I mean, it's not terrible as long as it's well documented, because it's not
Yeah.
usually a lot of money. It's like $50,
Right.
maybe a couple hundred sometimes if you're really lucky.
Yeah, and how often are parks buying stuff directly? Most times an individual is buying it and then being reimbursed by the park.
Yeah.
I don't know that the BOD or Westmarch Monarchy should be encouraging bank accounts at this point. Their hassle and the workarounds are convenient.
Mm. It would be nice if there were some way of making it easier, but I'm not sure that there is, short of, giving every land the NOP number, and Westmarch has definitely not wanted to do that in the past.
No,
I
the
mean,
only
it's
thing
not hard for a land to create their own EIN number. You
Let's
don't.
do-
a
I'm just
land
gonna
doesn't need
interrupt.
their own.
Christine had to log off. And
Right.
so if we need anything from the Monarch, I can message her, but just to let you know. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's not hard to get an EIN for a club from the IRS. They make it super easy.
Is it?
Yeah, it's easy.
That's good to know.
And you
something
don't
else-
need to have a proper NPO incorporation, all of that. You go into at least 10, 15 years ago, you just go into the bank, say, here's our bylaws, and that's a copy of the Kapora dealing with the BOD. And you have your letter of authorization signed by the group's board of directors, which.
Okay, so you do have to have a board of directors, though.
So how did Riverspur do it? We had quick elections, and the BOD met that day to sign the piece of paper I drew up. Because at the time, baronies were required to have the bank accounts.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
the BOD met exactly one time ever.
Solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from the land level where it's just a couple $100. It's not very difficult. And it's not a big deal, or like $1,000.
yeah.
The banks may have gotten
What-
a lot pickier the past few years.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
So as
But
far
even
as,
so, if it's not difficult to create one, it's still kind of a hassle to maintain it.
so as far as this item, is there anything the BOD could do to make having bank accounts easier for parks? Is there any
If I may,
conclusion or action that we need to take?
is this thing on? Can anyone
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. One thing I was going to bring up is that actually something that I was thinking about doing with Adria's Hall and something Victoria and I had discussed with Aria Saltis is actually having Westmarch hold our funds in some way, because after the tithe and all of everything that happened with COVID and having dues paid via being PayPal to Westmarch themselves, it actually would make sense to have, just a separate tab in the for the treasurer and the prime minister to keep track of the funds and continue it that way. That you have digitally.
It's been a pain in the neck maintaining that and reimbursing the lands and getting
Sorry, I
caught
set
up.
that up for you.
Yeah, I mean,
was my
it made
fault.
sense for during COVID when lands weren't meeting and people wanted to donate. It was a good response to the situation. It's just, and then a lot of lands, I tell them how much I see that we owe them. And they're like, yeah, you owe us money. Yeah. Though COVID also probably had an effect on that too.
Yeah, we've just figured that we would continue to pay our tithes in Adria's Hall out of that until it's empty, because how often do we vote? How often do we actually,
Right.
need to?
does that cause accounting issues for your reporting to the state, though? Because you said that the Westmarch funds and the land funds are specifically kept separate to make it easier for the state reporting and stuff, right?
Yeah. And I don't remember if I separated. I don't know that I separated it properly. But last year, Westmarch, because there was no events, we took in like $1,000. And tithes, I don't think was very much.
Mhm.
I don't know that it mattered that much last year. Going forward, it might make it interesting because now we're holding on to land money and it's not really ours, but it's showing up on our bank account.
And we're paying taxes on it, right?
No, we don't
Well,
pay
we're an
taxes.
NPO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'd just be listing it in our tax statement. That was what you're saying. Because you
We
said
probably
we
shouldn't list it in
file
our
it.
tax statement, but now it's money showing in on our bank account that's not being reported to the IRS. That's not supposed to be reported to the IRS. But if we're ever audited, then we have to explain why we took in this money that we're not reporting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
like that could lead to something that would possibly get us in legal trouble with the feds.
It would be the state because the feds don't ask for an
Okay.
actual number. I see 2 hands up. I see a hands up from Kaya, and I see Jody is telling Emran to type his message.
I
Go
took my
ahead,
hand down.
Kaya. Go ahead,
Okay.
Kaya.
Nope, I've already said what I needed to say.
Okay. And Brian, go ahead and type your message in the chat. And then I'll relay it to everybody and we can answer it. Okay. How do I become part of the board and how does one form a freehold? So let me answer that. If you want to message me, let me answer that outside of the BOD meeting. Because the BOD meeting is a kind of more of a formal meeting and we have an agenda and items, business items that we're discussing for the kingdom. And this is going to be better answered one-on-one outside of the BOD meeting. Okay? And I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I will answer the first part though, for any of the lands out there, anyone who's listening and who doesn't know, BOD is an elected position that members of West March can run for.
Every year.
Yeah, every year. So that part, if anyone's ever wondered, how do they get to be on the BOD? Ladies in pawns, don't throw swords at us, we get elected.
Yep, and that's usually in December for a 1-year term. It's also in the
And-
corpora.
You need to be a voting eligible member. Part of West March long enough, 6 credits in 3 months, dues paid.
Long enough having been a member for 6 months.
Yeah. Over 18.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
yeah. Only position that's under 18 is heir apparent.
Heir apparent.
Right.
Okay, so going back to item number 3. Do we have any further discussion on that?
Number 3 was future BOD meetings.
The BO, no, is there anything the BOD can do to make having bank accounts
Oh.
easier for parks?
3 under new business.
I get it.
I feel like this was a really good question to ask, but I feel like from what David said, embroiling West March and local land money would be complicated and not really worth it for the amount of money most parks have.
It occurs to me, and this was probably going to be bumped to the Queen for a Kapora amendment, is if there is a bank account requiring at least 2 people to be on the account at all times. That way, if one person loses all their stuff, has it stolen, moves halfway across the country, and is in the hospital, you have somebody else who is listed to access the account. If I get banned, Fix has access to the account. Unless Kaya also has access to the account, which hopefully we'll get an update from.
Oh yeah, we can go back to all of Kaya's items now.
Let's
As
go
soon as we
back
close
after
this one, we shall.
after we're done with new business, let's get that done and then we go back to circle back around. So are we, David, I heard you say kind of, I don't know if you made a motion to bring it to the Queen, that if there is a bank account, there should be 2 people on that account at all times. What are we going to do with this? Did we just want to discuss it? Are we going to make a motion to take some action on it?
I
Close
think
it out, just having had
close.
discussed it.
I would be for a motion to ask the Queen to look into requiring 2 people to be on a bank account. That seems like a reasonable thing to me. Yeah, so that if something happens to one person, the other person can get at the funds. All we would do is make a recommendation to the Queen, but I feel like that would be a good recommendation.
Are you making a motion?
Yes, motion to recommend to the Queen having a requirement of at least 2 people on a bank account.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Great. Anyone opposed? All right, so I will let Christine know that. I'll post it in the Discord thread, and then I'll also message her so it's transparent and direct. And then the last item in new business was the Crimson Wood additional information for the audit from last night.
Motion to close previous discussion first.
Second.
Because those were 2 different things.
Okay, thank you. Anyone opposed? Okay, so item is closed. Okay, thank you. So the next item is the additional information from Crimson Wood for their audit.
David posted a link to where they listed their prime minister, and I took a look at it real fast and saw that they hadn't included which of their officers were pro tem or not. So I reached out to their PM because I'm actually friends with him on Facebook, and asked him, and he stated that all of the officers except for the regent had fully qualled. So it's just the regent that was pro tem.
Well, he did put a score for Dagger as well.
Yeah,
Um,
well, he
at
put
the
that they won cultural champion, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they qualled, because you can win cultural champion without necessarily successfully qualling. They're a smaller land, so
Oh.
I bet that doesn't happen that often with them, but for duchies having to enter 7 qualifying items, you can quite often, have 5 qual and 2 fail, but still take cultural because nobody else entered more than 1.
Good point.
So
I believe, looking at how they submitted it, that they indicated who had qualled and who hadn't by putting pro tem on their one officer that was pro tem.
I felt like it was that too, like that's how I understood it. So, but I wanted to make sure to have it clearly stated in case there was any question.
So we had asked for this additional information to elevate their fail, right, to a pass?
Right.
Yes.
So do we think that the additional information that they've sent us qualifies them for a pass? Would you like to have a vote? Or is there any further discussion?
I don't got anything.
So I'm gonna go down the list, and then as far as with the additional information from Crimson Wood that they've provided, does Crimson Wood now qualify for a pass audit review rating? Andy,
I vote upgrade to pass.
David,
Should be Kaya next.
Christian, Kaya.
I abstain.
Okay, David,
I remain with the pass.
I will vote pass.
I vote pass.
So of the
So that
members
was
that are,
one
that are
abstain
here,
and everyone else pass.
so we have 4, so that's a quorum on the vote, so Crimson Wood now will get a pass rating.
I move to close this item.
Second.
Anyone opposed?
Nope.
It's your night, Rose. We've got 5
No.
things closed out. All right, so let's go ahead and,
Before we bump up to the other thing, in new business, we had made a motion to wait to talk about TR until Ka was here and Ka is here.
right, and then there was another one that the Wells Fargo banking issues.
Yeah.
Yes,
As
and
well,
it's Kaya, by the way, not Ka.
So we had
Sorry,
two.
sorry.
So let's go back around to the old business first, the Wells Fargo banking issues about adding Kaya to the paperwork.
So I did get notice I have been added to the bank account, but I cannot log in online. So I've been given a number and I've been given the runaround by IT, and now I'm going to go in probably next Friday when I am back in town.
Yay, Wells
That's the
Fargo.
update.
Okay.
Yeah, it's swell.
Is this
So it
something we
sound-
should table until next time then?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds
we
kind of
should
like
table.
Kaya's gonna be, work on getting access and be able to view the accounts. And then the next step will be getting David, off and Justin put on. Is that right?
Yeah, so we should be meeting, myself and Justin should be meeting Saturday morning. So I'll get him added and I'll see if I can get him added as key executive. And then myself removed, and then that'll leave Justin and Fix. And then when Kaya gets access to the account and can actually, look at stuff, then we can boot Fix. And that way there's always two, never more and never less.
Ugh.
Justin Smith, right? That's his
Yes,
last name.
Justin Smith. Oh, yes, in case we need it for the minutes. We shall
Yeah,
add Justin Smith
That's,
as
pending
the executive.
his successful the vote, right?
Election.
Election. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the word I wanted.
Yes.
Election.
So, I think that was the additional information we needed on this item.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any further discussion?
I move to table this until next week when we can get a report from Kaya. Or sorry, next month.
Beautiful. And then Justin will be here also next month.
I second.
Second, anyone opposed? All right, so that one is tabled until next month. And then Rose, the TR banking issues is next.
Yep, under new business, item 1.
Okay. So, when we went through the audits, yesterday, Kaya, there were issues with the TR bank account, and feel free anyone to correct me if I am in error. But they had a bank account and bank account got the money, disappeared? And
So-
so what happened? You did
I
some
can summarize it.
investigation on the TR. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so I Leon was having problems finding out about the bank account because Shadobe had said that all the records for TR's ledgers had been thrown away. So they didn't have any bank records. I was able to get with Azus. He was able to forward me their last ledger that was submitted, and it held over $600 in it. So found out that Uric was the last person that was on the account. He has since moved to Texas. Uric had not released the money to Leon, but after talking to him, being like, hey, we need that money. You're holding an account that has Thor's Refuge's name on it. We need to get that switched over. Uric was very unhelpful, and I ended up having to hand the issue over to Zeus and Porkins because Leon received a Visa gift card, which he was unsure if he would even be able to get the cash off of, for only $500, and that left over $100 missing from TR's funds.
Was that last audit period or this audit period?
That was that was back in January when I became aware of this issue, and at Spring Wars, originally when I was supposed to go, I was trying to meet up with Uric, but he was refusing to give me any type of timetable, and then I got COVID. So I wasn't able to make it, but he's been very unhelpful with it, and I don't know if Zeus or Porkins heard back from him. But I had to report it because we've got over $100 missing, it looks like.
Okay.
No, and we didn't do much more. I mean, I've talked with Leon about ideas on how to get into the account, and I think I gave him a copy of the operating agreement that I made for Wells Fargo, which didn't work for him to base something off of to try to go to Wells Fargo and
Hmm.
get into TR's accounts. I mean, there's not much we can do. I mean, yeah.
I guess my question too is, the accounts are still open. It looked like the checking account balance was 0 and there was $5.01 in the savings.
Were you able to get records? Because York was unwilling to hand us over any bank statements.
He didn't contact us at all, and if I knew I was supposed to contact him, I dropped the ball. I don't recall that I was supposed to contact him.
It was kind of handed over to you guys to take a look at, you and Porkins.
Okay.
I think, yeah, it was because I couldn't get a response out of Yurik, and then Leon got a $500 gift card. So and the numbers just didn't match up because Monica made a hefty donation to make sure that the TR's bank accounts were all paid up, and that ledger is from 2001.
Right.
Mhm.
Wait,
So
you said 2001. 2021?
Yeah, it was like 2021, because I remember when
Right.
she did that, there was a discrepancy between the Monarch or the PM handoff, and she made up the balance. She was transparent and put it out there and said, I'm donating the money. This is the discrepancy. This is what I'm donating. This is
which the
different.
discrepancy came down to actually the bank fees, because you needed X amount of money in the bank account in order to avoid the bank fees. And since they had a checking and a savings account, they were having to do, like West March does with switching around money. So, and since that wasn't done, there was bank fees being taken out. So that weren't recorded in the ledger.
So I guess my question is, it sounds like most of the banking issues stem from last term and are just kind of like rolling over into this term. What is the BOD's responsibility at this point? Do we have a responsibility, or would it be ruled over to the king and the prime minister to do anything additional?
We are liable for the account because it is Amguard. It says Amguard Thor's Refuge on that account. So we are liable.
Well, so I guess the extension of that question is, what do we need to do about it then?
Yeah, like what is the action that the BOD would need to do?
I can't say what the BOD needs to do. I can say that the account does either need to be handed back over to the land, or we need confirmation that it's closed from Yurik.
I think that's that's my thought is the accounts should at least be closed. I don't
Mhm.
think that they should stay open at all. What we do about the missing funds, that would be a different discussion, but I think that the accounts need to be closed, especially if Yurik lives in Texas. He's not a member of West March anymore. He should not be the one whose name is on the accounts.
Yeah.
He never moved his credits. He's still a member of West March. We don't have any rules that say that you can't be a citizen of West March if you're not within state lines
Okay,
or a
I
certain
thought-
distance.
okay, I thought he had moved his credits.
Okay, he's still voting on the Circle of Knights.
Okay,
Wait, we haven't had a vote recently.
Last I heard, he was still voting and still participating in the Circle of Knights.
That was a few months ago. How many months ago? It's been a while since the Circle of Knights has properly met.
Yeah.
So,
But if he's still in it, then He's still gotta be a member. If he's not in it, then he can move his credits.
Anyway, I think the only one who can really close the account is going to be Yurik. If
Yes,
he's the only one on it. Unless Leon can come up with enough documentation to convince Wells Fargo to transfer it, which is not easy. Yeah, it's going to be Yurik has to go into the local bank and close it. And I don't know that he's got the information like the account numbers and passwords.
Well, I
He's got
mean,
his
Well, he was
ID.
able
Does he have his
to-
bank card? He's got to, anyhow, he's got to go in and talk to them and figure out what needs to happen to close it. And he's the only one who can do it.
Well, he was able to
When I
withdraw
last
money to
closed
buy
an
the Visa
account,
card.
all you need to do to close an account at a bank that you have an account in is come in with a valid form of ID. And if you have your valid form of ID, they will let you do stuff on the account. That's how I closed my Chase account because I didn't have my card.
so we would need to ask Yurik to close out the accounts, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was able to take out the money for Thor's Refuge to send Leon the gift card.
Do we know if the gift card actually has been cashed, if the money was on it?
No, I can check with Leon regarding that.
Okay, if you want to do that, or I can message him, but if you want to go ahead.
He's in
I'll
your
do
park.
that.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Okay.
he's in your land. Do not let me stand in your way. So,
So who needs to reach out to Yurik then, as far as closing out the counts? Is that going to be a monarchy, or is that would be us?
I would say the liaison with the prime minister or with the queen should reach out to him, because this is there's two issues here. We've still got more than $100 missing from the account, and then we also need the bank account closed.
So what you just said is I've messaged Leon as far as the gift card. So what you just said is there's two items. One is the liaison, prime minister, and monarch need to reach out to Yurik and get closure on the missing funds. We would need an exact dollar amount. And then also to close the TR bank account.
Yeah, which I mean, if he just gets the statement sent over to us and while he's closing out the bank account, that should close the loop completely for that issue.
So I think what I'm hearing is we need to pass this over to the liaison as a representative of the BOD, the prime minister, which is going to be probably Justin, and the queen. Contact Urine to get the TR bank account closed. And then also ask him about the discrepancy in the funds. And is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that summarizes it.
Okay, can I have a motion to that effect? Unless there's any further discussion?
1 sec. There's a lot of stuff right now and
No,
writing.
that's
real fast.
okay. That's why I'm,
Okay, so what we're doing is having Jordan and the Queen reach out to Yurik to talk about the funds and getting the account closed. Is that correct?
and
was
also
it-
the prime minister.
Okay. Jordan, the Queen, and the Prime Minister. Hey, look at that, Dave. Something for the other Prime Minister to do. It won't be all empty.
Yeah. Not a fun one.
Okay.
So before we vote, can you read back what we're going to be voting on, please?
So we hadn't had a motion made yet because I stopped you before that, but I wanted to really quickly summarize to see if I got everything. We summarized the issues from the last audit period, which have been rolling into this audit period. The issue was handed over to the Prime Minister and the King as of last semester, but they didn't realize it had been handed off and so haven't looked into it. Uric still has the account, which needs to be closed. It would be good to have closure on the missing funds as well. We need to pass this over to Jordan's position and the Queen and the Prime Minister to talk to Uric to have the account closed and to find out what can be found out about the missing park funds. Does that sound okay to everyone for a summary of what we discussed?
I make the motion to accept that and to table this issue until the new Prime Minister liaison and Queen can contact Uric and try to get this settled.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. So we will table that one to September. Rose, is there anything else that I missed that we needed to come back around to?
I don't believe so. I believe it's just those two items.
Okay. It's been a pretty couple back-to-back intense BOD meetings, so good job, everybody. All right, so the next item is going to be to schedule the September meeting. I will add Justin to the BOD Discord group and then message him and let him know that that's where our thread is.
Oh, he's not in the Discord group?
Not yet, because he hasn't been officially voted in. So,
I mean, he should still be able to see it anyway, so.
yep, I'll add him. I have a note. I'll add that before I log off tonight.
Well, no, I mean,
Okay.
like, that group is, or that channel is publicly
Oh,
invisible.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It just can't be
And I
typed in
don't know
unless
that-
you remember.
I don't know that I can add him anyway. I think Garfelius has to do that, right?
That depends on if somebody made you in charge of that group. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'll have to check that out, won't I?
Yeah. It would make sense for the BOD to be the admins of that group,
Yeah.
but.
Okay.
Okay, September. Have to look ahead. Let's see. We did not have Jocelyn today. We'll have her next week.
So Sundays for me in
That would-
September, Sunday evenings are going to be a no-go.
Okay.
So if there is another night and time, I mean, I can meet during the week. For me, you guys pick, because Sundays are out. I can make whatever else work.
Monday through Wednesday work best for Rose and I.
I can do Monday through Wednesday. The second week of September is completely blacked out for me.
Okay. Okay, I guess that's gonna be it, because David sadly won't be here anymore.
I'll miss you.
We will, it's like, it's been awesome. You pulled us together a lot, so thank you for everything. Have another beer.
Absolutely. It's
So-
also been good working with you guys, and Rose and Andy, it's great having you two adding new voices.
Yeah,
And just new experiences. I think it's really helped us as a board grow, and we need the new viewpoints. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
agreed.
I'm also a real fan of having the Southern lands represented in the BOD, honestly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's important.
And
It's important.
I'm not actually needed for scheduling the meeting, so I think I'm going to sign off for the last time this year
All
David,
right.
until I'm masochistic again to join again.
I'll
David, I
see you
need you to
Saturday.
stay.
You need
Don't
me to
forget the
say?
red carpet.
Don't we lose quorum if you leave?
Oh,
So
You're right.
let's, can we do,
No, there's
Okay.
still 4 of us.
oh, well anyways, can we do September 19th?
Yeah, let's do September 19th, 7 PM. I work till 6, so I can meet, but I can't meet before 7.
That works for Rose and I think. Yes.
Kaya,
Oh.
you work till 7, right?
Sorry, couldn't unmute myself fast enough. Today was a one-off because I'm leaving for Vegas in the morning, so I had to do payroll today.
Would 7 o'clock, September 19th, Monday work for you?
Works for me. Sounds great.
Okay. All right, so do I have a motion?
I move to have our next meeting on September 19th at 7 o'clock.
I second.
Anyone opposed? Sweet. So that's the next meeting.
I make the motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Okay, anyone opposed? David?
I can't make it.
Thank you, everybody. It's good back-to-back meetings. It was kind of a lot. We all held together. You did great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Doing a great job as secretary, Rose. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good
need-
night.
Good night. Rose, did you need anything more before I log off?
Nope, just was typing out the date and time before I forgot it.
Okay,
Good night.
all right, good. Good night, everybody.
Good night.